We resume our tale at a fork in the road. Having made it back to Kanto at last, Ash and Brock's paths are now set to diverge, with one path leading north to Pewter City, while the other points south towards Pallet Town. Sharing grins, the two friends promise to meet again soon, then turning away from each other, begin making tracks towards their homes. However, before Ash can reach Pallet, he must first pass through Reunited City, commenting to Pikachu how much it's changed as the pair walk along a bustling street. As they do, the duo catch sight of an old woman on a bicycle struggling with groceries, and so offer to help, with the woman gratefully accepting as she leads them to the Viridian Gym. Here they are met by a man in a floral shirt and sunglasses, who the old woman names as Scott, asking if he's scouted any strong new trainers lately. Grinning broadly, Scott replies that he thinks he just did, asking the old woman if she knows that her young companion is the most recent winner of the Evergrande Conference. Looking surprised, she admits that she didn't, for asking Ash if that means he's battled members of the Hoenn Elite Four. Modestly, Ash admits that he lost to Sydney, though he also battled Drake and Mr. Moore, even beating the latter on a second attempt. A fact which only further impressed the woman as she next asks if he'd like to battle her, revealing herself to be Agatha of the Kanto Elite Four. Grinning, Ash replies that he'd love to, since he's looking to get stronger by going up against as many Elite Four level trainers as possible. With this settled, the pair head inside, agreeing to a simple one-on-one with Scott as the referee. Like in canon, Ash uses Pikachu while Agatha goes with her Gengar, and also like in canon, Ash starts off by making the foolish mistake of attempting Quick Attack against a ghost. Thankfully, he soon gets his bearing, and so relies on his trusty Thunderbolts and Thunder to combat Gengar's Shadow Balls, with the match quickly coming down to the wire, as the two trainers are of roughly equal skill. Unfortunately for Ash, Agatha has an ace up her sleeve, with that being Hypnosis Dream Eater combo which puts Pikachu to sleep, then takes it out in one fell swoop. Nonetheless, both Agatha and Scott are highly impressed with Ash and Pikachu's performance, with Agatha encouraging Ash to keep striving for his goal, while Scott makes the boy an offer, saying he runs a very exclusive league called the Battle Frontier, populated by trainers of Elite Four caliber, who could help push Ash to the next level if he would like to try and challenge them. Eyes lighting up, Ash beams that he'd love to, with Scott laughing that this is the spirit before giving Ash the coordinates to the Battle Factory and wishing him luck. Following this, the rest of the trip back to Pallet Town is uneventful, with Ash reuniting with his mum, Professor Oak, Tracy, and most surprisingly Misty. Everyone is delighted to see Ash, reaffirming their pride in him for winning the Hoenn League, and catching him up on all the goings-on that have happened while he's been away. Thankfully, due to having rotated his Pokémon regularly, there is no stampede caused by his arrival when he visits Oak's lab, meaning his visit for the most part is a relaxed and pleasant one. The only blemish comes when Professor Birch drops in, bringing with him Max from the Petalburg Gym, as while the bespectacled boy does get Ash's name right at last, he still scoffs at his battle with Sydney, calling him a first-round washout. All the same, Ash doesn't have to put up with this for long, as he decides to get back on the road that very day, the allure of the Battle Frontier calling to him. Needing to get back to her gym, Misty decides to tag along with him, something Ash does not object to, especially when just before they are set to head out, they are met by another familiar face, that being Brock, as he beams that he visited his family and now is ready to travel with his two old friends once again. And so it is the team of three take off, choosing to take a shortcut Misty knows which will get them to Mount Moon in only a couple of days. Despite having been apart for a while, it takes no time at all for them to fall back into their comfortable routine, as if they had never parted ways, with the trio even thwarting of the half-baked Team Rocket scheme like the old days. It is only by experiencing all this that Misty realizes just how much she's missed traveling with her friends. And so, while stopping off at a Pokemon Center not far from Cerulean, she gives her sisters a call, informing them that she's taking her vacation time now, which means they'll have to cover for her for the next few weeks. Petulantly, the sisters whine they were just about to take a trip, though when Misty informs them that the only place they'll be taking a trip to is the emergency room if they don't do this for her, they realize that on second thought, some time at home sounds perfect. With travel arrangements now set, Ash, Brock and Misty are able to skip the detour and head straight to the Battle Factory, though on their way they are blessed with the most tremendous sight, the legendary Pokemon Articuno soaring overhead one evening when they stop to make camp. Watching the graceful bird as it passes in front of the moon, the trio catch sight of something else, a light plane flying alongside it, with Ash smiling that he wishes he could be up there flying alongside Articuno as well. The next morning, the team make it to the Battle Factory, where they meet Factory Head Nolan, an affable man who gives Ash his choice of Pokemon to battle, though before he can make a choice, a commotion in a nearby hangar draws everyone's attention. Rushing over, they find Brock's Sableye frozen solid, with the Spectre having gone looking for a quiet dark place to relax in, only to accidentally stumble across and startle the Articuno from the previous night. While Nolan has one of his fire types thaw Sableye out, he apologizes profusely, saying Articuno is a friend of his, causing Ash to recognize the plane and correctly surmise that Nolan was the pilot he saw. Nodding, Nolan admits that this is true, causing Ash to ask if he can battle Articuno, to which the Factory Head grins that he doesn't see why not. However, However, Ash does have one other request, that they battle tomorrow, as it'll take some time for the Pokemon he wants to use to arrive. Knowing who Ash has in mind, Misty can't help but be impressed by how strategically Ash is thinking, with her admiration only growing when Ash actually takes the time to train with Charizard that evening, showing just how much he's matured as a trainer from his time in Hoenn. From here, Ash's battle with Nolan goes much like in canon, though it is slightly easier thanks to Charizard having fought in high-level battles against trainers like Drake and Sydney. As a result, Ash is soon bestowed with the knowledge symbol, and bid good luck as he continues his Battle Frontier challenge. Likewise, Ash's battle against Greta at the Battle Arena goes like canon, albeit slightly easier thanks to his team's increased experience, with Ash not even needing Snorlax as his fully evolved Sceptile is more than capable of taking out Hariyama and tying with Medicham, making Ash the victor as he still has a Pokemon left. The first real divergence to Ash's Battle Frontier run comes when he challenges Domace Tucker. In canon, Ash used Swellow and Corphish in a double battle, but since he possesses neither of those Pokemon, it falls to Skarmory and Snorlax to carry Ash through, as he reasons that together they can act as a shield and spear combo, allowing Skarmory to attack from a wide variety of angles, while Snorlax can hold its own on the ground, giving as good as it gets. Meeting Tucker in the Grand Arena of the Battle Dome, Ash surveys the Domaces Swampert and Arcanine, recognizing they are both exceptionally well raised. Fortunately, he has faith in his pair, telling Skarmory to go on an all-out attack, while instructing Snorlax to hang back and take a load off, with each Pokemon responding well to their orders as it plays into their natures. Grinning shrewdly, Tucker comments that he can see what Ash is doing, though the boy should know that he's not the only one who can use that combo, telling Swampert to leap in front of Arcanine and use Protect, preferring the Fire Dog use Extreme Speed to pounce into the air and strike Skarmory while it is vainly trying to push through the protective bubble. This promptly sends the Armor Bird clattering to the ground, where Arcanine attempts to finish off with a Fire Blast, only for Ash to have Snorlax intercept the blow, taking the hit and retaliating with a Mega Punch to the top of the dog's head, which sends it leaping back with a whimper. While this is happening, Swampert attempts to come in for a super effective Dynamic Punch, though before it can close in on Snorlax, Skarmory shows off its impressive aerial maneuvers, clashing against the punch with a Steel Wing that results in both moves being cancelled out, but Snorlax being spared. Now it is Ash's turn to grin as he informs Tucker that while it's true he had planned to have Snorlax play defense while Skarmory attacked, they can also swap roles just as easily, meaning he has no holes in his armor. Nodding approvingly, Tucker agrees that the versatility of this pair is commendable, saying it will take that level of creativity to defeat him, though he does have to wonder if this diversification has come at a cost. After all, as the old saying goes, a jack of all trades is a master of none. In spite of this, Ash retorts that being too set also has its costs, a statement which intrigues Tucker as he urges Ash to prove his claim while attempting to prove his own by having Arcanine rush in with extreme speed again, showing how by specializing, Arcanine cannot be beat in its field. In this he is correct at least, as Arcanine far outpaces Skarmory's counter, darting around the bird to strike Snorlax, who rumbles in annoyance as it swats at the hot dog. Meanwhile, Swampert fires a volley of water pulses, which are meant to drive Skarmory back, shoring up his team's defense. Though this demonstrates a clear lack of understanding for who Skarmory is, as instead of fleeing, the steely Sky Warrior punches through each of them with Peck. However, Ash quickly notices there is something different about this Peck, with the air around Skarmory's beak swelling like a drill, giving it more power, and allowing it to land a serious hit on Swampert when they clash. From the viewing box he's sharing with Misty and Scott, Brock yells that this is Drill Peck, and so congratulating Skarmory on learning a new move, Ash orders another Drill Peck, with this one coming directly underneath Swampert to drive it into the roof with a solid crunch. This leaves it in the perfect position for Snorlax's follow-up attack, which happens to be a Hyper Beam, and as the Golden Blast shoots upwards, Tucker realizes what Ash's strategy was all along. It's exactly what he said, that by being able to wear multiple hats, his team is never without a function, whereas if one of his Pokemon is removed from battle, there is no way to fill the hole they leave behind. And so it is that when Swampert hits the ground with spirals in its eyes, Tucker is forced to reappraise his game plan now that it's a 2 against 1, and his defensive Pokemon is out for the count. Pressing this advantage, Ash's Snorlax and Skarmory close in on Arcanine, forcing Tucker to call for a barrage of Fire Blast to keep them at bay. As far as makeshift shields go, this is an effective one, as Skarmory cannot risk being struck by the super effective move, while even Snorlax cannot afford to take too many of them. However, this stalling tactic has its own drawback, that being the longer Tucker employs it, the more chances Ash gets to come up with a counter. Eventually the boy does manage to come up with something, as he has Snorlax use Ice Punch to try and dissipate the Fire Blast, with the two attacks cancelling each other out. Unfortunately, due to Ice Punch being a melee attack, this is not able to damage Arcanine, or even give Skarmory an opening to do so, as by the time Snorlax has destroyed one Fire Blast, another is already there to take its place. However, Ash being Ash, he quickly figures out a way to turn these two weaknesses into a strength, as with a grin, he commands Snorlax to use Ice Punch on Skarmory. Briefly, Tucker thinks that Ash has gone mad, then he understands when Skarmory closes in on Arcanine, passing through the Fire Blast unharmed due to the steel on its body having been significantly cooled thanks to the Ice Punch. In that moment, all Tucker can do is marvel at the genius of this coordinated attack. Then, as Drillpeck takes out his Arcanine, he bows his head, conceding the match, but doing so with a wide smile on his face. Following this battle, Tucker has nothing but praise for Ash, presenting him with the tactic symbol and calling him a double battle prodigy, to which Ash laughs that it was really his Pokemon who did all the work, adding that he didn't even know if his Ice Armor strategy would work or not. From either side of him, Brock and Misty comment that at the very least he's modest about it, though all the same, they do not begrudge him his traditional victory pose, with Pikachu, Snorlax, and even Skarmory giving a celebratory cheer. After this, the next stop is Lucy's Battle Pike located near Fuchsia City, meaning our heroes pass through Lavender Town and down routes 12 through 15. It is here they come across Kanto's very own Ninja Academy, where Brock befriends a baby Bonsley, adding it to his team. From here, events progress as per usual, with Ash battling and defeating Lucy with his Donphan and Pikachu, though for once a major battle is not the most notable event to occur on that day. Like in canon, Lucy seemingly reciprocates Brock's interest, and being more worldly than Max, Misty recognizes this, and so does not immediately drag Brock away, allowing him to complete his request that she join them on their journey. In a slightly sorrowful tone, Lucy declines, saying that her Battle Frontier duties prevent her from traveling, though if Brock still feels the same at the end of this adventure, she will be here waiting for him. She then kisses him on the cheek and departs, leaving the Pewter City gym leader in a state of stunned euphoria for the next several days. Thankfully, here another heartbreak is also averted, as with no need to make a detour to Chrysanthemum Island for May's contest, Sceptile never encounters the Meganium from Chamomile Island, meaning it never goes through its depressive period, where it forgets how to use its moves. As a result, when the gang reach Metallica Island for Ash's battle with Spencer, Sceptile is raring to go, being his first choice and putting in an impressive effort. From here the battle goes much like it does in canon, with the only exception being that Swallow is replaced with Pidgeot, thus granting Ash an extra edge and power. Likewise, Kingler replaces Corphish in Ash's battle against Annabelle, being the first Pokemon he brings out when Annabelle chooses her Alakazam. Thanks to its immense strength, it is able to prove far more of a challenge than Corphish did, and while it cannot defeat Alakazam, it does injure it enough that when Tauros is brought out, it can finish the job with a surprise Surf. Similarly, thanks to Tauros having travelled with Ash through Hoenn, it is also stronger than its canon counterpart, allowing it to overcome Annabelle's Metagross, and even land a takedown on Espeon before it is taken out itself. From here it is all up to Pikachu, with the electric rodent scoring the knockout blow, and with it not only earning Ash the ability symbol, but also the location of the 7th and final battle facility, the Battle Pyramid. As it turns out, the Battle Pyramid is located near Pewter City, meaning our heroes will need to travel northeast as they are currently at Tojo Falls. However, since there is no need to pass through Mulberry City, Ash suggests they take a slight detour to Mount Silver so they can check in on their old friend Larvitar. Thinking fondly of the little rock type, Brock and Misty have no objections, with the trio briefly passing into Johto as they head due north into the mountains. Having travelled this road before, they have no problem navigating their way up Mount Silver, with them soon arriving in the Pokemon Preserve near the top of the mountain. Here they are greeted by another familiar face, that being Ranger Mason, who welcomes them back, asking if they're here to see Larvitar. Nodding, the trio confirm they are, with Mason smiling that since they've been away, Larvitar has grown up quite a bit, becoming her little deputy and helping to drive away poachers. Laughing, Ash agrees that he always knew Larvitar was tough, while Brock and Misty comment they can see why it would want to use its strength for that reason. Following Mason, the trio soon come across a clearing where Larvitar and Tyranitar are sharing a meal of berries, though when the mother and child duo catch sight of their guests, they run up to meet them, with Larvitar leaping into Ash's arms. Grinning broadly, Ash, Brock and Misty greet their old friends, with Brock smiling that Larvitar's grown a lot since last time they met, while Misty agrees that it looks much stronger and more confident too. Ash meanwhile is just pleased to see that it looks happy after all the trauma it went through as an egg, and so gives it a hug, saying it's good to see it again. Unfortunately, this touching reunion is interrupted by the untimely arrival of Team Rocket, with them reciting their motto and declaring their intent to steal Larvitar, Tyranitar, and all the Primo Preserve Pokemon for the boss. Angrily, Ash tells them to get lost, since this is meant to be a safe haven for Pokemon, though it seems Larvitar has more than harsh words for the thieves, as it fires off a hidden power at the balloon, which strikes the basket and causes it to capsize, sending Jessie, James, and Meowth crashing to the ground. Seething at this embarrassment, Jessie responds by bringing out her Gulpin, while James does likewise with his Cacnea, and though Ash tells Pikachu to deal with the crooks, it turns out he really is not needed, as Larvitar deftly dispatches Cacnea with a second hidden power, before speedily burrowing underground to take out Gulpin with Dig. This leaves the villains stunned at how quickly they were defeated, though they are not given long to wallow, as when Pikachu reaches Larvitar's side, the pair launch a combo move which sends them blasting off again, and returns the Pokemon Preserve to a state of peace. Smiling proudly, Ranger Mason explains that Larvitar is always this fierce when it comes to poachers, while with a broad grin of his own, Ash tells the rock-skinned Pokemon that it was incredible. From here the remainder of the visit goes smoothly, with a trio of heroes and their Pokemon playing happily with the mother and child, though when it comes time to leave, Ash receives a surprise in the form of Larvitar tugging on his leg. Looking down, Ash fondly tells the rock ground type that while he'd love to stay, he really has to go, as he still has a battle waiting for him at the Battle Pyramid. However, with a shake of her head, Misty sighs that for all his growth, Ash is still as dense as ever, adding that Larvitar isn't asking him to stay, it's asking if it can come with them. Eyes lighting up, Ash asks if that's true, and when the little green Pokemon nods, Ash beams that of course it can. He then pulls out a Pokeball, though before Ash can catch it, Larvitar briefly returns to its mother, sharing a hug and a growled goodbye, which Ash is more than happy to wait for, knowing that last time they parted, they were not given this opportunity. Only when the farewells are out of the way does Ash actually catch Larvitar, though as he goes, he promises Tyranitar that he and Larvitar will be sure to visit again soon, with Ranger Mason grinning that she'll hold them to that, so that when the heroes depart, it is with smiles on all faces, as they know that this is not goodbye, but rather, see you later. From here the events once more return to their canon path, with Ash still being possessed by the King of Pokelantis, causing his first match with Brandon to end in a loss, though the primary difference comes in his response. Having suffered a bad loss like this before at the hands of Mr. Moore, Ash already has a roadmap of how to overcome this, by redoubling his devotion to his training. Brock and Misty both agree to help in this, even bringing Geodude and Corsola back to their teams respectively, so that Ash can have a variety of rock types to train against. However, the best substitute for Brandon's Regirock proves to be none other than Armaldo, with it filling a similar role to what Charizard did while training for the rematch with Mr. Moore, by allowing Ash's other Pokemon to try their hands against a bulky rock type. By doing this, Ash quickly is able to conclude that the best fit to take on Regirock is none other than Whiscash, as not only does its bulk allow it to soak up hits, but it also has the distinct advantage of having both its typings be super effective against rock-type Pokemon. The only area in which it has any shortcomings is its maneuverability on land. As well as it can flop and bounce, these are slow, ungainly movements, which will make feats such as dodging and closing in on an opponent practically impossible. Thankfully, Ash is traveling alongside a water-type specialist, who volunteers to work with Whiscash in improving this issue, bringing forth her Gyarados, and demonstrating how for a creature meant only to travel through water, it has gained quite a proficiency for land battling. For the next few days, Ash, Misty, Whiscash, and Gyarados work tirelessly on this training, with Whiscash soon developing a new way to move that will give it just the speed and dexterity it needs. However, this is only the beginning, as now that it has created this trick, it must work towards mastery, with it taking almost 2 weeks of non-stop land battling before Ash and Misty feel confident that it's ready to take on Regirock. By now Brandon is settled in Fennel Valley, allowing Ash to challenge him once again, promising that this time will be nothing like the last. In his stern manner, the Pyramid King replies that he hopes so, then with a yell, he brings out a Pokemon Ash has never seen before. This instantly causes the young man to sweat, as all his training had been to combat Regirock, though when he pulls out his Pokédex, he learns that this is its cousin, the equally powerful Registeel. Fortunately, Ash is knowledgeable enough to recognize that as a Steel type, his advantage is not entirely lost, as while Whiscash wanted to have 2-type advantages against this Pokemon, you will at least still have 1 in ground, with this being enough reassurance that he is able to bring the giant catfish out. Looking Whiscash up and down, Brandon calls this an interesting choice, that makes no further comment to suggest that this is either praise or criticism, instead allowing his referee Samuel to declare the match open. At once Whiscash springs into action, rather literally, using Earthquake to launch itself into the air, which also causes Registeel to beep in pain. Then when it comes back down, it unveils its new trick, extending its whiskers downward to act as pseudo feet, with which it can walk and run. This is what had caused the training to take so long, as Whiscash had needed to work on building up the strength in its whiskers so that it could support its own considerable body weight. Thankfully, Gyarados had been able to assist it there, being a whiskered Pokemon itself, resulting in the duo performing endless repetitions of whisker push-ups until finally Whiscash could hold itself aloft. Standing tall, Whiscash then charges in for a double edge, its whisker legs pumping furiously as it barrels towards the Iron Golem, though with a cry of "No!" Brandon has Registeel retaliate with Metal Claw, striking the fish on the side of its face and causing it to tumble over, due to still being new to concepts such as balancing. This leaves Whiscash vulnerable to the Steel type's follow-up as well, with it kicking the Whiskers Pokemon back into the wall where it hangs, held up by the crater it has formed. Briefly, Samuel considers calling the match for Brandon, though before he can raise his flag, Whiscash uses its whiskers to pull itself out of the crater, standing up once again, and goading Registeel to hit it with his best shot. Accepting this challenge, Brandon next has Registeel use Lock On, and remembering how dangerous this move can be from his time possessed by the King of Pokelantis, Ash tells Whiscash to charge a Water Pulse, hoping this will at least mitigate whatever Brandon plans to use next. A moment later, the Pyramid King reveals his choice, calling for a Hyper Beam, and as the orange light shoots towards Whiscash, Ash tells his friend to use the Water Pulse now. Warbling passionately, the fish fires its Aquatic Orb, though to its and Ash's horror alike, when it gets close to Registeel's attack, the Hyper Beam simply curves around it, before resuming its original trajectory and striking Whiscash head on. This once more sends Whiscash backwards, though digging its whiskers in, the Water Ground type is able to remain standing, a feat Brandon calls admirable, saying even Regirock struggled to endure a Hyper Beam from Registeel. Grinning, Ash replies that he and Whiscash are full of surprises, before commanding it to use Double Edge again, with this time striking true thanks to Registeel needing to recharge. At such close range, it is then child's play for the Water Ground type to use another super effective Earthquake, causing Registeel to recoil, though being a resourceful man, Brandon has Registeel fire off a point-blank Hyper Beam, certain that this will finish Whiscash Ash off. However, here Ash shows off his own wily streak, telling his fish to relax its whiskers, with it subsequently dropping to the ground and avoiding the hyper beam by a hair. Now Registeel must recharge once more, and knowing this is their chance to end things once and for all, Ash yells for Whiscash to use a full force earthquake, with the fish leaping up before belly flopping onto the iron Pokemon, knocking it prone, and also positioning at ground zero of the earthquake, so that all the seismic vibrations first pass through its body, dealing massive damage. As a result of this earthquake, dust is sent shooting up into the air, obscuring the combatants, though after such a flawless finishing move, Ash is confident that Whiscash will be declared the victor as soon as the dust settles. However, this comes as an object lesson in not counting one's Torchics before they hatch, as a moment later, Whiscash's warbling scream fills the battlefield, followed a moment later by the sight of its large frame soaring through the air. Looking shocked, Ash asks what happened, to which Brandon states that Registeel is a legendary Pokemon, so it'll take more than a well-placed super effective move to end it. Nonetheless, when the dust fades, allowing Ash to see Registeel once more, it is self-evident that his Gambit did a lot of damage, with the Steel Titan's smooth metallic frame being dented in several places from the repeated impacts of the earthquake. Figuring that one more good hit should do the trick, Ash asks Whiscash if it has it in it, to which the ground water type warbles determinedly, rising to its whiskery feet one last time. Ash then calls for a double edge, and as Whiscash takes off at a run, Brandon nods approvingly at Ash and Whiscash's spirit. He then calls for an attack of his own, that being Hyper Beam, and as the blast soars towards Whiscash's lumbering form, the Pyramid King calls this battle a valiant effort on the challenger's part. However, this time it is Brandon who is being presumptive, as with a broad grin, Ash reminds the Frontier Brain that he already told him he and his Pokemon are full of surprises. He then tells Whiscash to dodge, in an act of astonishing nimbleness for a creature so bulky, being carried by appendages so thin, it springs to the side at the last moment, all the while continuing its charge, so that it runs perpendicular to the Hyper Beam, before slamming headfirst into Registeel. This at last is too much for the Titanium Titan, and so as an assortment of random beeps escape its face, it falls backwards, ending the battle and securing Ash the win. And just like that, Ash's Battle Frontier challenge is over, with Brandon shaking the boy's hand, while Scott presents him with a framed collection of all the symbols he's won, before offering him a place as a Frontier Brain. Smiling, Ash politely declines, stating that he has a whole bunch of places he wants to see, before bidding the pair goodbye and departing with his friends. It is here that a much harder farewell takes place, as Ash, Brock, and Misty each find themselves heading in different directions now that this journey is complete. Promising to catch up again soon, the trio of old friends then each lay their hands in the middle, sharing a smile, then going their separate ways. In a mirror of the end of their Hoenn adventure, Ash and Pikachu head back to Pallet Town alone, though this time it is a very different familiar face who meets them when they arrive home, that being Gary Oak. Greeting Gary warmly, Ash asks what he's doing here, with the Oak replying that he's just stopping in to get some stuff before heading back to Sinnoh. Curiously, Ash asks what that is, to which Gary explains that it's a faraway region filled with new people and Pokemon. Naturally, this gets the raven-haired youth all fired up, with him asking if they have a Pokemon League there, to which Gary laughs that Ashy Boy never changes, though he does confirm that they do, with the champion being one of the strongest in the world. This is all Ash needs to hear, with him declaring that if Gary's open to it, he'll go there with him, causing the brunette to smirk that he had a feeling he'd say that. He then informs Ash that his boat leaves in 3 days, so he better be ready, with Ash promising that he will be. With this settled, Ash spends the next few days at home preparing for his upcoming trip to Sinnoh. At Delia's insistence, this includes getting a new outfit, as his current traveling clothes are worn and faded from so long on the road, as well as receiving an updated Pokédex from Professor Oak. However, the most important thing to do is select his starting team for the region, with it taking him up until the very moment he has to leave to decide. Nonetheless, when Professor Oak calls for Ash to join him and Gary in the car, the boy does so with a smile on his face and Pikachu on his shoulder. Catching sight of this expression, Gary asks his former rival if he's ready, and with an even broader grin, Ash replies that he's never been more ready for anything in his life. And that's where we'll leave things. What adventures await Ash in the Sinnoh region? Which team of Pokemon has he chosen to accompany him on this journey? And can he win himself a second league title? Find out as the journey continues.